Video Review.
There are a lot of games these days that purport to have open world gameplay. The act of having this big open world that you can kind of run around and do crazy crap in. The problem is that at this point, that term is practically just a lame marketing buzz term. Most times it isn't used to any notable effect. Unless, of course, you actually find a way to put something cool in that open world and make it exciting, which is exactly what Criterion has done with Burnout Paradise. This is, to a degree, the Burnout you remember, but taken to kind of this whole other direction where there isn't this rigid structure to the game. There is this open city called Paradise City. Comes complete with the Guns N' Roses song and everything. There are events that you find at every intersection, and as you hit each one, you just keep driving through, do these races, do the road rages, do the time trials, all that fun stuff, and just explore. You find billboards to break, shortcuts to bust through. You find all sorts of crazy crap everywhere, and you just experience this ridiculous city that you can basically smash to pieces. When you first start playing the game, this new structuring is very off-putting. Trying to get around the city is a little bit unwieldy at first just because you got this little mini-map you're using, but you don't necessarily know where any of the events are because they're not marked on the map until you discover them. So you're just kind of wandering around aimlessly, figuring out where stuff is. When you start doing the races, you realize, oh wait, there's no actual checkpoints in any of this. You're just kind of finding these different routes. Basically trial and error your way through it a little bit. The one key difference to that versus a lot of other games that use trial and error to rather terrible effect is that you don't have to just go back and do those same races again and again and again for the most part. Often what you end up doing is going through a race, failing, and then realizing there's another race like half a block from you, doing that one instead, moving on to something else, and eventually just kind of going on about your business. That's sort of the beauty of the game, is that you don't really have to worry about going back and doing a lot of these events again and again to get them right. Once you get a feel for the city, it becomes very natural. You see a yellow gate, you just know to bust through it. You see a Burnout billboard, you just know that there's a jump that you need to take to hit that thing. You find all these different events, you see all these different burning routes you can use to upgrade your cars and whatnot, and you know exactly what you're supposed to do and how you're supposed to go about it. The game also features this concept of owning the roads, which is sort of a two-tiered thing where each road and intersection has its own little designation within the game, and on there you can either do a time trial for that road. Also, there are showtime records, which are sort of the effective replacement of crash mode in the game. There is no structured crash mode, there is no, the puzzly nature of it is kind of gone. Instead, at any time in the game, you can be in the middle of the race, just driving around, whatever. At the press of a couple of buttons, you can essentially launch into this ridiculous crashing segment where your car just wrecks into whatever's nearby, and then you just keep going and going and going. You just keep wrecking endlessly almost, where it is this, you're almost like you're controlling this sentient car crash that won't stop. The car wrecks are so ridiculous and awesome that you can kind of just do it forever. There's something even a little bit erotic about the whole thing, but we'll leave it at that. Online is also a fairly seamless experience in that you can just be driving around the city, then just hit right on the D-pad and you'll see the little online menu pop up. You can jump into a game with any available game that's just already on the list, or you can start inviting friends, and what you get is this little environment where you can have up to 7 other racers in the city with you at the same time. And you can either just kind of mess around and wreck into each other and do stupid crap, or you can actually start doing all these different challenges. There are races you can actually build yourself by creating your own start and end points. There are all these little challenges where it's just like, go wreck into billboards and, go and try and get the longest jump distance. Or, there are even cooperative ones where it's like, jump over each other and, get a collective amount of drift yardage and whatnot. The online can be a little bit unwieldy in the sense that there are a lot of challenges to go through, and they're broken out in such a way that there's 50 challenges for 2 players and then 50 challenges for 3 players and so on and so on. So you kind of have to get these games together where you need to have specific numbers of players to do certain challenges, which is kind of weird, but if you've got enough friends that are willing to play on a regular basis, you can probably make work. Apart from the crazy structuring, the open world, and everything else, this is still totally Burnout. The game is still extremely fast. It's all about wrecking cars. And that stuff still feels fantastic. You know, taking down another racer still feels totally awesome. The sense of speed in the game is fantastic on both the Xbox 360 and PS3. In fact, there's really no difference between the platforms whatsoever. They look nearly identical between the two. The only real difference, and maybe this gives the 360 version a very slight edge, is that it supports custom soundtracks, because the soundtrack in this game is not so good. There's also the annoying DJ who's back again, and he's still super annoying, so unfortunately you can't quite turn him off.
DJ Atomica reporting on more road rage hitting the streets of peaceful Paradise City.
Undoubtedly, Burnout Paradise is going to turn a few people off who, you know, wanted another game just like Burnout Takedown or Burnout Revenge. It's not the same thing as those games. And I know a lot of people probably hated the demo for this game. Let me be the first to tell you, I hated the demo for this game too. I don't normally like to get into that. And at the same time, I started playing the full thing, got a feel for exactly how much content there really was in this game, and I was totally turned around by it. The demo is not a proper representation of what this full game offers. It is a really deep and enjoyable experience that lasts you for hours and hours, especially if you're a longtime Burnout fan.